Welcome friends, welcome back to Sunday morning in the Old Cookbook Show. We're going to do another recipe out of the Five Roses Cookbook. Last week we did the pork cake. This week we're going to do the pork fruit cake. Similar recipe, a few changes, a little more rounded. I think this one is more well-rounded than the one we did last week. And I really liked the one that worked out last week. And so did the people. Julie took it to work. And she said, you know, it's pork fruitcake. And a lot of people are like, I'm not going to have that. And then the people that did went back and had a second piece and a third piece. So I think this one is going to be even better. Now, struggled a little bit with this. The first thing it says is 1 pound of solid fat pork chopped very fine. And my thought was, is this pork fat, just the fat, or is it the really fatty parts of the pig? And so I called around and I spoke to a few people who are, you know, bigger food historians than I am, and they said no, when it says fat pork, it does mean the fattier parts of the pig. And so I chose to use pork belly, and I ground it. I've got a grinder. I ground it very, very fine. Now, we need to pour 1 pint of water over top of this. And so this is a Canadian cookbook, so the pint of water is an imperial pint. So to all of our American viewers who just recited, a pint's a pound the world around, it isn't. Because a pint is only a pound in the United States of America because you use a different sized pint than the rest of the planet. Our pint is bigger. Now the rest of the things just get dumped into this bowl, so let's get to that. First in is some baking soda. Then we have white sugar. What does it say after that? 1 cup of molasses. So this is, I'm using fancy molasses, but blackstrap molasses would work really well. I know that I really like the flavor of blackstrap, but other people find it too bitter along with the sweet. So since I'm going to be giving most of this cake away, I'm using the fancy stuff. But I think either would work in this instance. Okay, I'm going to give this a little bit of a stir just to start mixing it into that hot water. Next it says a pound of currants, and so these are currants, and in the instance of baking, when it asks for currants or dried currants, they're actually raisins. They're small little tiny raisins, Corinthian raisins. And then it does ask for raisins, so I've got seedless raisins. In that goes. Candied peel, put that in. And you can use any candied peel that you like. I know that a lot of people will sort of not like the fact that I'm using the colored red and green, the brightly colored red and green, because it's not natural. But it's the one that my family always used, and I find comfort in that. But if you want to use the more naturally colored ones, go right ahead. Next in is some chopped nuts, and I'm going to use a mix of pecan, walnut, and almond to make up the chopped nuts. And next it asks for a glass of brandy. So it leaves it up to you how much brandy you want to put in. I'm going to say, I don't know, let's see, maybe 3/4 of a cup to start with. Now, I know that a lot of fruitcakes don't use brandy. They'll use another spirit. So some people use rum, and I think rum would be fantastic. Some people do use whiskey or scotch. I mean, if that's what you want to use in this cake, go right ahead. I think they would all work. They all just sort of add that warm feeling to something that you're supposed to eat in the wintertime. So as I mix this in, it next says spices. So we need cloves, cinnamon, and ground ginger. And all of those are warming spices. So this is going to have that classic fruitcake flavor. And the last thing is 1 whole grated nutmeg. So it's going to take a while to grate this in. Okay, I get down to a point when I'm grating a nutmeg where I start to feel like I'm going to grate my fingers off, and so I stop. So it says a whole nutmeg, but you're not going to get that much in because I just don't want to take my fingers off. So I'm going to give this a stir and incorporate as much as I can, get it all mixed together, because the last ingredient is 4 cups of flour. Okay, so I'm not going to put in the flour all at once. I'm going to put in a little bit and put it in little by little and stir it in and then put the next bit in. Just makes it easier to make sure that there's no lumps. Okay, next bit of flour. Looks good. So all in all, this is a really easy cake to make. I mean, everything just gets dumped into this bowl. You don't have to beat anything. You just kind of mix it and stir it together. I do get some instructions about baking this one. It says to bake for 2 hours in a moderate oven. So I'm going to put this into a 9x13. I've got a parchment sling in the bottom, just to make it easier to get the cake out in the end. And I'm going to slip it into the oven. And I know that as much as it says 2 hours, the fruit cake or Christmas cake that we normally bake, which looks remarkably similar to this at this stage, usually takes a little bit longer. So I'm going to go for the 2 hours on the clock, come back and check it, and maybe let it go a little bit longer. So into the oven it goes. Hey, Jules.
Hey, Glenn. Hey, friends. It's it has a very Christmassy smell. We already make Christmas cake.
I know. So
But I thought you were making pork cake.
this is the pork cake. It is essentially, you know what? It is pretty close to our Christmas cake,
Which
the one
is-
that we already make.
Which is interesting because, of course, my family, the one we don't make the same one that my family
your
makes,
family
but my
makes.
family makes one that's a suet and green tomato
Yeah.
based.
So I mean, in this one, it's pork
Okay.
fat instead of
Because
suet.
the last one was definitely a spice cake, but doesn't have that. This is a distinctly Christmas cake smell.
So this is.
So you must be very happy.
I am very happy. I'm looking forward to this a lot. Okay,
Lovely texture.
so I'm a little blown away again
Yeah, when you say it's a
because it's not as dense as. I know that people don't like Christmas cake and fruit cake, and there's a whole myriad of reasons. And in some cases, I agree with you because I have had some horrible, horrible fruit cakes, right? And so I hear you. This one has the flavors, but it's fairly light, isn't
This
it?
one seems like it's mainly currant and raisins, though. Yeah.
Currant, raisins, peel, nuts. Yeah. So there isn't some of the other stuff that we do put in ours, and you don't soak the fruit like we soak the fruit.
Mm-hmm.
But it's much lighter than a Christmas cake.
I wonder how long it'll keep around because I mean, the advantage of having soaked it in brandy is that it stays moist for a long time. As long as you keep it refrigerated,
No,
you're gonna eat it for a year. That's really nice. I really like that.
we have to eat this weekend.
All of it.
Yeah,
I'm sure we could.
it must go. No, no, it would keep.
Yeah, I
I think this is the kind of cake that would keep. Wrap it up in cheesecloth, a little bit of brandy or rum. Like I said, you could use rum instead of brandy if you wanted to, and stick it in the fridge, and it'll keep for a long time.
But you did say it, and I'm gonna just repeat it. It is lighter than
Than a
the
fruit-
traditional cake
than a traditional
that
fruit
I'm
cake.
used to. And I
Yeah.
wonder, is there less fruit? I'm trying to guess. I'm trying to figure
No,
this out. Right?
no, you know what? Without having gone back to our recipe, even though we just made our recipe this weekend, you know that giant bowl that we use?
Yes.
It still filled that giant
So it's
bowl.
still that giant size. I wonder what it is.
Still use that same pan. It's and
You know,
there's-
my friends, just try it.
yeah.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, it is a non-traditional traditional Christmas cake for people that don't like Christmas cake, probably. It is a great cake. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.